DC Holiday Special 2017 #1, and just by various people. We'll talk about the creators as we go, because
Yeah.
every story has their own set. A lot of stories in here. I think before we start sort of saying what each of them are, I will say my overall thoughts on this are kind of lukewarm.
Yeah.
I think it
It's a
could have.
DC holiday, nothing special.
I
You get
feel
my
like
drift?
I feel like it should have been same amount of pages, but I feel it should have been less
Yeah.
stories, so that each of the
Yep.
ones that were there had more to
Should
breathe.
have. Didn't need that Atomic Knight story. Like
Nah,
that was just like,
there
get that
was
out of here.
there was several of these where I felt it just ended before it really
Yep.
became a story, and
Hmm.
that was kind of
I
my
will
big,
agree.
which was a shame because there was such a great list of creators working on this.
Yep.
But ultimately it didn't really add up too much. I have to say.
So they're at Bibbo's bar,
Yep.
and Constantine's there for reasons unknown, but also Clark Kent's there, and they get into a discussion about the holidays, and Bibbo comes over to Clark and is like, "Oh, I recognize you. You come here once a year," and basically, Bibbo's putting over how important Superman is, especially at the holidays, because when the night's at its darkest, that's when you need hope the most. And Constantine's like,
Yeah.
"Ugh, that's a load.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Clark.
when you've seen what I've seen, there is no such thing as hope."
Yeah, Clark basically has doubts, and he's here to like
Mhm.
kind of just sort of remind himself that
Yeah.
he's doing enough of what he can, and sort of Bibble's
Yeah.
kind of like, obviously Bibble being Bibble, he's the Superman's #1 fan.
Yeah.
So then the stories
For
that play
me.
out. So basically it ends with like, he says it ain't so bad ... and then it cuts into the first story, and then we have all the stories, and it comes back to the bar
Mhm.
stuff at the end. So the stories, I don't want to spend a lot of time in these, to be honest, because I don't
No.
think there's actually enough to really talk about. Some of them have nice art. This first one
Yep.
has nice art, which is a Batman story about this kid who his grandmother freezes to death over the winter, and that was like some time ago. And now he's a full-grown adult. He sees the ghost of his grandmother. He hallucinates his grandmother speaking to him, telling him to kill the people who turned him away, because they go to this house to like, can we come into the heat and like maybe
Yeah.
call for someone or something, and they turn him away. And it's basically just him coming back with the ghost of his grandmother to get revenge. So Batman
Yeah.
goes out and saves them.
You should mention that the creative team on this is Danny O'Neill and Steve Epting.
Yes, Steve
So-
Epting's art is fantastic. So that should
Yes,
come as a
and,
shock.
and it's Danny O'Neill Batman, who it's of a time and it's of an era, But it was a cool Christmas story. It's kind of light on Batman, but it was fine.
It is yeah, it gets to the end, and the guy's like, okay, I need to say goodbye to you, Granny, and she leaves
Yeah.
forever. I don't know. It didn't feel developed enough for me to really get
No.
the go home point of it, I guess.
Mm-mm.
The second story is a Green Arrow Black Canary story called You Better Think Twice, with Marguerite Scott and Phil Hester on the creative side, and basically he's dressing up as Santa. He's convinced Canary to dress up as like Santa's helper to give
Yeah,
some orphans
and-
some presents in Christmas.
Given her upbringing, she's kind of like, this is dumb. Like, come on, I'm not dressing up as Mrs. Claus to help kids. We can just go help kids. And
Yeah.
Of course, bad guys try to rob, a truck full of presents. And
Yeah, right outside the orphanage because of convenient.
yeah,
But we get a boxing glove arrow, which is okay, I suppose.
yeah, boxing glove area, and I just love the look on Canary's face when it happens, just because it's pretty great. But my favorite part of this story was the end with all the kids who see them, Canary and Green Arrow beat up these guys, and then they're just kind of like, oh, now I can be Black Canary, you can be Superman. And the one kid's like, no fair, Black Canary can beat up Superman any day. Like, they were just kids being kids on Christmas.
Yeah, I mean, it was basically like the kids come out and Canary gets that the kids need a hero to like take them away from their worries
Yeah.
on Christmas. That was basically it.
Exactly.
But hey, and the next story is a Sergeant Rock story by Tom King and Francesco Francavilla. That's obviously this was beautiful.
Easily, to me, this is easily the best one.
I think that's probably true because it's basically that this soldier was stuck with a Nazi in the cold for how many was it, like 6
8
nights?
nights.
Yeah,
8 nights.
8 nights.
And then
Sorry.
you find out the significance of that is you see them go throughout the nights, and the soldier's wounded and the Nazi's not, and he's handcuffed, and he's like, I could run at any time, and the soldier's like, nah, but you won't, and he's waiting for Sergeant Rock to back him up, and as the nights keep going, he stays alive, And so the Nazis kind of confused, like, this guy should have died by now. And then finally, on the 8th night, they end up, killing each other. But the soldier survives just long enough for Sergeant Rock to kind of find him. And you find out that this soldier was Jewish, and it's kind of a retelling of the menorah. It wasn't supposed to last 8 nights, and it does anyways. But it's told through this spectrum of World War II, and it just, oh man, that one hit me.
No,
Really nice.
it was definitely the most emotionally affecting story. It was the story that felt the most complete. Like, it had like a point at the beginning, middle, and end, and it paid off by the end of it. So, no, that one was fairly solid for what it was. The next one's a Flash story. Wally's at the Titan's Tower. He wants wants Barry to come over, but Barry's too busy. This is Joshua Williamson writing. It's Neil Gouge on art. So Barry's at the airport, and he sees that a bunch of kids are stranded and can't go home from a field trip because all the planes are down because it's snowing too heavily. So Barry decides to, when a little girl asks him to deliver a present to her parents because she can't be there to give it to them, he takes her, of course, and he ends up taking every kid home. On Christmas Eve.
Yeah, he plays Santa. I mean, he wears red, just doesn't have a sleigh.
Yeah.
He's at the Speed Force instead.
It's a sweet enough story. He goes to see Wall at the end and hangs out and has ice cream. I think what makes this one suffer though is that I remember the last Christmas special had a Flash story, and that was actually so good that I remember that, and I know it was better than this one. And that was where he was literally delivering presents as Santa Claus because he had the speed to do so. And he makes that deal with the Rogues not to do anything on Christmas. Like they take the break off. I feel like that had more going on for it, but it was okay. It was fine. Like I say, like I don't think there's very little in here that's actually bad. There's not a lot that actually is.
Again, I made the joke at the beginning. It's the DC holiday, nothing special. There's they're fine. These easily could have been like annual stories, but they're all Christmassy themed.
Yeah, I feel like maybe putting these as backups in the regular books. Obviously that doesn't work for all of them because where would Sergeant Rock go? But, like that Flash one. This next one's a Deathstroke story by Priest. So it's
such
fine.
on point. The Wilson family is such a crappy. They're like the Bundys from Married with Children, but with superpowers.
Yeah, this is when Joseph and Grant are both there as kids. Yeah. Adeline's pissed that Deathstroke seems to be on a mission without her. But Deathstroke still gives her a present. Yeah, it's fine. It feels like Priest Deathstroke.
It feels. The first time you see Deathstroke, though, he's holding up Santa. And you're like, what is going on? And you end up finding out that he'd put this chip in one of Joseph's toys that then went and got donated for needy kids. So now he has to track down this chip and hold up Santa. Santa ends up getting killed by the bad guys also trying to get this. So. There were some laughs in this one, although it was kind of dark for a Christmas tale, because again, Santa ends up getting whacked.
Yeah. But not the real Santa, to be fair.
No, but still,
because the real Santa is a thing. The next story is a Superman story, or maybe more accurately a Lois story, called Driver's Seat by Max Landis and Francis Manapul. And this is basically Lois's car gets hit. She's in a little car accident, but it totals her car, and she's pissed because this is the car that she's had for years and years. She's used this in college. And this would maybe work better if we'd ever even heard of Lois caring about her car in any story, ever. But it's a nice little thing. And Clark for Christmas, he flies off, gets the seat out of it with the wheel, and flies her around. So she's pretending she's driving her car one last time.
That's sweet.
It's a sweet little story. Again, it's pretty short. It's pretty it's I don't know. I feel like a lot of this, I remember last year's being a little bit tighter in the sense that it was fewer stories, so each one had maybe a bit more time to actually have some weight in it.
These are all mostly quick hits.
Yeah, whereas this, I feel like it was speeding through them, and none of them were really even the ones that were good weren't really getting the time to do much. The next one's the Silent Night, Atomic Knights story, which is written by Dan Didio, art by Matthew Clark. And this is a story where we're in a post-apocalyptic world.
Yep.
And the radiation's made these big plants become set. I was really expecting this to turn out to be a poison ivy thing, or maybe a swamp thing. But instead, it's just these weird plants that are sentient.
Something had happened that they went to war with the plants, but then some of them survived, but people have a prejudice against them, so they sent them all outside. But
right now,
it's
I mean, it doesn't sound like you do, but I'm just going to make sure, just to
Yeah.
check. Maybe the audience can help us out here. Is this actually connecting to anything DC? Like, is this
Yeah,
like?
yeah. This was the Atomic Knights were like a Silver Agey thing around the same time as
Okay,
Commandy.
right.
Yeah, I don't know if they occupy the same world. I don't think they do, but yeah, it's like the Atomic
Okay.
Knights. Like
Because
that's what the reference was in Wonder Woman the other week, where they came and attacked Grail. They were the
right,
Atomic
okay.
Knights.
Because I
Yeah,
was reading this and I'm like, what the hell is this? What is this
yeah,
post-apocalyptic
it's
world? What is
rough.
this from? Like,
Yeah,
what DC characters are we doing here? But okay, the Atomic Knights are a thing. Okay, but I was like, what?
yeah.
Are these plant
But
things
still,
supposed to be a thing?
yeah, I don't know about that. But they
Uh,
all come and they end up making a Christmas tree, and
yeah, they
they
make a
learn you shouldn't
Christmas
be
tree
prejudiced
for
on
them,
Christmas.
and they want to make a truce. They're not actually evil or villains. They want to all live
Yeah.
together. Uh, is it normal for the Atomic Knights to ride on big Dalmatians? Is that
I think I remember seeing a thing. One of them does ride a Dalmatian. That's
okay?
gigantic. So yeah,
Uh,
Connor's thrilled right now.
oh, look at him.
I still plan on reading this because even though I'm hearing all this, I'm going like, yeah, well, I'm gonna read it anyway.
Oh, again, you should read the Sergeant Rock story. Track that one down for
Yeah.
sure. The rest, and
I've
and
got
we'll
the
get to
issue. I just
Rucka.
didn't get around to it. I just ran out of time.
Yeah,
Uh,
but I'm saying there's certain ones you can skip. Like you don't
Yeah.
need.
Yeah, but I won't.
The next story is a Teen Titans story. It focuses on Starfire. It's called Holiday Spirit. It is by Shea Fontana and Otto Schmidt. So you've got a good team here. This is basically how Starfire doesn't celebrate Christmas. She doesn't really understand it, and she's with the Teen Titans, but they all go off to do various Christmas things with other people. And she's like, "Oh no, I'm fine on my own." But then it turns out this evil spirit's still making people like depressed and suicidal.
Yep.
So she ends up calling in the team, and this big evil-looking thing starts feeding into everyone's like doubts, like, "Oh, remember all these things, like you felt Raven, or you Robin, your mother, like
Yep.
fought you and abandoned you, and like all these things." But basically gets to Starfire, and the thing has nothing because the reason why it comes out at Christmas is because that's when people are most vulnerable to feeling lonely. And
Yep.
she just doesn't feel anything because she doesn't care about Christmas. This is like a complete non-concept to her. But by the end, she kind of realizes that, oh, okay, I get that Christmas is all about how in the middle of winter you actually fight against it and have this hit. Because at the start she's confused. Why do people celebrate in the middle of winter? It's like the darkest time. It's
Yeah.
horrible. But she
You shouldn't be
realizes that.
celebrating. You should just
Yeah.
be huddling together for warmth.
But she realizes by the end it's you do it in spite of the cold, you do it in spite of the darkness
Yep.
because it's like you find light in the dark. And it ends with them all sitting around at the campfire at Titan's Tower, being happy.
I
That's
do love
okay.
Damien. When they attack this thing, they call it the Ghost of Christmas Past. He says initiate playing reindeer games. I was like, that's pretty funny.
Yeah, someone's like, what the hell are you talking about? It's like, oh, it was an addition to the Christmas version of your
Yeah.
combat binder.
Yep.
Yeah, it's fun little things like that.
Yeah, it was good.
It was okay. Next one is a Swamp Thing story called In the Echo of the Abyss. Scott Brian Wilson writing, Nick Klein on art. This is a story in which the Earth is apparently on the brink of nuclear annihilation because everyone's about to fire nukes at each other. And this space station above Earth, and Connor's like, what the hell is this? Is this a Swamp Thing story?
I mean, it just sounds like Earth at the minute, to be honest.
But
Yeah,
basically,
right.
there's people on this space station, and they think they're just going to be left up here because the Earth is probably going to blow themselves up.
Die.
And this one guy is trying to be Christmassy, so he pulls out some mistletoe. And Swamp Thing, through the mistletoe, detects how sort of depressed this guy is, and he like comes from the mistletoe and convinces him not to kill all the crew because he's basically going to like kill everyone so they die a quick death, so they're not waiting around for the apocalypse.
Yeah.
Because he's worried that once like the Earth's gone, or if that happens, that they'll end
They're
up
gonna be
fighting each other for food
Yeah.
for what's left and things like that. So Swamp Thing comes out and decides not, tries to tell him not to kill himself, and then leaves him a Christmas tree because,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah, it was a story.
I didn't hate it. It was just kind of random. I was like,
Yeah.
what's
I was like, why
happening?
is this in here? Like, okay, cool. Someone had a story for a weird Swamp Thing
Joe, my
nuclear
promise.
annihilation.
I feel like the idea of Swamp Thing making a tree for someone's really nice, but it mirrors that Silent Night story too much.
Yeah.
Because that was also tree-like beings making a tree for someone. Like, I don't know, I feel like it was the same idea in
Right.
two stories.
Well,
but
I feel like the writer just took Nuclear Winter to the next level. You know? No, nothing like that. Okay, moving on.
Whatever, it's fine. Next story
Oh, it's-
is Solstice, which is a Wonder Woman Batman story by Greg Rucka and Bilquis Evely. Does that perk you up a bit, Matt? Those names.
Yep.
There's not a whole lot of story here. Batman and Wonder Woman are basically just like off saving their own people. It's all in the kind of like the contemplation, the narration over the top of it, where they're basically. It's almost kind of like that Batman or that Batman issue with Superman and Batman both kind of talking about each other. Not as directly in this one, but they're both just kind of talking about what they do and how important they are. But it's the whole thing when it gets to the end. It's basically about how once a year Batman and Wonder Woman get together and light a bonfire to celebrate Solstice. Because and Batman asks, "Why do you ask me to do this every year? Why not Clark? He's like the embodiment of light and like hope." And she's like, "Yeah, but he doesn't need this. Like you live in the darkness,
You do.
so I'm going to be with you to celebrate the darkest night of the year."
Yeah, it's real nice. I like that.
Yeah, it was nice. I think obviously the art was really pretty. I specifically like Wonder Woman holding up like was it a submarine or something like that? She's holding above her head with one hand.
Well, it was so in her story, she's stopping. It looks like she's down somewhere in Latin America, and they don't have any drinking water. So she ends up getting drinking water and carries it down to them to help all the people. And then, of course, Batman's stopping on which are mugging, and so the mom and kid can spend Christmas.
Of course he is.
Not and so but it was good. I mean, that's probably my second favorite one after the Sergeant Rock.
Yeah, no, I agree. But I mean, is that a surprise that Tom King and Greg Rucka stories were the standouts?
I know, right? With Francavilla art and Evely art, like
yeah. I mean, it's not a shock. Admittedly, I don't necessarily think they lift the book up as a whole enough to say it's worth like paying the $10 to get it. Like I feel like so much of it is just fine and not standout. That I mean, to its credit, there's very little as well on the other side where it's like, oh, this is terrible. Like this is a bad story in here.
It's fine, but $10 is a bit steep.
Yep, I concur.
I would definitely cut out some of them and make it, just an 80-page whatever.
Yeah,
$6 for it.
I wouldn't even load the page count necessarily. I would just let them let the ones that are good flesh out a bit. Let them have a bit more time to really tell the story they're telling. So we cut back to the bar, and Clark's like, "Oh, thanks, Bibbo, for doing this every year." And then he invites Constantine to his house for Christmas. So we have the last page is Constantine sitting there with Superman, Lois, and with John, and that's it. Happy Christmas. There you go. See you next year.
Yeah, and then he ends it with bah humbug.
Yeah, so it is the definition of fine, but nothing special. I think overall.
Yep.
A couple of bright spots, but not as many. I feel like last year's, I remember like coming out of it being really enthusiastic about a couple of them. Whereas this year, I feel like no, it's like the high points weren't there, but the low points weren't there really either. It was just kind of nice, even middle ground.